And tonight, House Oversight Committee leaders are not satisfied. They say they are not getting answers from the White House. So what is their plan? The committee is zeroing in on 11 of the site's largest contractors. Congressman Jason Chaffetz joins us. Good evening, sir.
Hi, Greta.
All right, so you're zeroing in on the contractors. What can you tell us about, not just a question of who's on first. I know they blame the government for not doing the overall test, but what's the story on paying them? How are we paying them to do this fixing, and how much is it going to cost us? Any idea?
The federal government is it's just pathetic on this. I want you to understand that over the last 10 years, the federal government has spent in excess of $600 billion. $600 billion on IT projects. This year alone, we're going to spend about $82 billion. And so now you have this monstrosity, this just absolute disaster out there. And I'm worried that not only are these people going to get paid, but then we have to pay somebody else to come in and start over and fix it.
Well, you tweeted in the last, 10 or 12 hours to Colorado Democratic congressman, health care is very expensive and the ACA, Obamacare, doesn't remedy that. You then say you voted for it. What provoked that?
Well, my friend, and I really do like the guy, Jared Polis. We disagree politically on just about everything, but he was in an article about what's going on in Colorado. He's now asking for a delay, an exception for his county. He actually is quoted in there as saying that the Affordable Care Act is actually not going to save anybody money. It doesn't work, and to date they've had zero in Summit County, Colorado. They haven't had a single person even sign up because it's so expensive.
So where does it go? I know that you've written a letter to the private organizations, the contractors, demanding answers, and they're supposed to answer it by, I think, the end, October 25th, by 5 p.m. I think that's the time. What do you want from them?
Look, our investigators within the Oversight Committee have been focused on a variety of these different contractors going back since January. So we've been laying the foundation, wanting to understand, because we get such a roadblock from the White House. What we hear from these contractors is they say the White House has directed us to do this. The White House wants this. The White House wants that. It all leads back to the White House, but they are just a stone wall. They will not answer this committee's questions. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Again, it's so hard to extract this information, but we are working to get to the contractors to get the information.
I tell you the thing that really annoys me, so I suspect there's some Americans out there watching that annoys them. We say that, the White House. Well, who in the world at the White House? Let's start naming names. Let's start naming names of the people who are spending all this money. Let's start naming names of people making these decisions. Let's start naming names, even the people who lost the $67 million over at the IRS a couple weeks ago that they've never apparently found. Why don't we start naming names instead of let's out these people. We might get more responsible government.
Exactly. Remember back in 2009, Greta? President Obama stood up and he said that they were going to transform the Veterans Administration and the health care records there. They were going to modernize those. They spent $4 billion and then they scrapped it because it never worked. And now they think they can do this for the entire population? You're right. We want names. But at the top of that name is Barack Obama, President Obama. He's at the top of the food chain.
All right. Here's another one of your tweets. 700 IRS contract workers owe $5.4 million in back taxes. They should be working off their taxes. We shouldn't even be paying them if they owe us that much money. Let them work off their taxes they owe before we start paying them.
For 2 terms in a row now, we have passed a bill that I sponsored that says federal contractors must pay their federal taxes or they will be prohibited from getting federal contracts. That seems like an obvious, easy, simple thing to do. It was something that candidate Barack Obama, as senators, supported. He even passed that bill. Well, guess what? We passed that months and months ago. It's just sitting stalled in the United States Senate. They somehow can't seem to garner enough votes and enough support in the United States Senate to say, if you don't pay your federal taxes, you shouldn't get a contract. It's so basic, Greta.
How can this possibly be? Some things, I understand different ideologies. People have different sort of thoughts. But, the whole idea that we're paying people to do contract work for the IRS and they owe us tax dollars. It might be a good quid pro quo. They can work off their debt or something. But this is just, it's bleeding with money and nobody seems to give a damn.
It happens in every department and agency. The bill that I sponsored says if you haven't paid your federal taxes, you can't even apply to get a federal contract. Because what happens is these companies, they will underbid their competitors because they look at it and say, oh, well, we don't pay our federal taxes, so we can undercut, we'll get this next contract. We had one company that has been doing this for 20 years, and they still get federal contracts.
Is there no way to stop this? Is there really no way to stop this?
Well, I passed the legislation, and it was very bipartisan. To the credit of some Democrats in the House, we passed this. But other than the wheelchair races and the bingo on Wednesday night in the Senate, I can't figure out what they do over there. I really don't know. This is an easy one.
Why isn't Senator Harry Reid, instead of out giving information for Senator Dick Durbin, apparently put on his Facebook page, why doesn't he just put it up for a vote? What's the problem?
When Barack Obama was a senator, he sponsored this bill. We know he's in favor of this, but they can't seem to do it in the United States Senate.
Congressman, always nice to see you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Greta.